Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Good Orderly Direction, Practical Tools of the Bible. I'm your host, Dr. Donnelly Snipes. Today we are discussing Exodus chapter 8, the plague of the frogs, and the necessity for change. God said to Moses, "Go to the Pharaoh and say to him, 'Thus says the Lord, let my people go so that they may worship me.' If you refuse to let them go, I will plague your whole country with frogs. They will come up into your palace and your bedroom, onto your bed, into the houses of your officials and on your people, and into your ovens and kneading troughs." Then Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land. But the magicians did the same things by their secret arts. They also made frogs come up on the land of Egypt. With these frogs inundating Egypt, the people could neither eat nor drink nor sleep in quiet, but wherever they were troubled by the frogs. Well, what is this supposed to mean? What's the symbolism here? Well, the Pharaoh perceived the Israelites as a threat because they were hardy and numerous, kind of like frogs. He feared being overrun by them, kind of like he was being overrun with frogs. So it's no coincidence that a symbol of fertility, the frog, is used to overrun Egypt. Frogs were also sacred animals to the Egyptians, who regarded them as symbols of procreative power. Even accidentally killing a frog was frequently punished with death. So I want you to think for a second. Think about all of these frogs just coming in through the cracks. And the only thing I can really liken it to that you may have experienced in your life is either mice, rats, or roaches, which is something that people may have experienced in modern day. Unfortunately, in Egypt, since the frogs couldn't be harmed, whenever a door was opened, they were still crushed. The people weren't intending to harm the frogs, but they were everywhere. They were so ubiquitous that every time they opened a door or stepped, they were stepping on a frog. And this challenged the beliefs of the people. So I want you to think, maybe this was indicating to the people of Egypt that they might need to consider whether this thing that they idolized was actually more important than their own health, sanity, and sanitation. The frogs may have been a way to make the people question their beliefs about whether this creature was actually something that was in their best interest. So think about it this way. Just ponder with me for a minute. What if the frogs represented an ideology that the people were prohibited from disagreeing with? So they were just constantly inundated. Everywhere they looked, they were inundated with this ideology, and they couldn't turn it off, and they couldn't talk back to it. They couldn't say, "No, I don't believe that." Opening a door means moving toward those things they want in their rich and meaningful life. But when they open a door, when they move towards those things that are important to them, that means going against that ideology or crushing the frog. Crushing represents questioning or rejecting parts of that ideology that they have been prohibited from disagreeing with. So the people are in this quandary. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. If they do respect the frogs or the ideology, they can't move. They're stuck. They're paralyzed. But they are not harming this thing that they have been told repeatedly is sacred. On the other hand, that means they can't move towards what they want in life. So they're stuck. Who are the Egyptians, quote unquote, or the oppressors in your life? What are they motivated by? What is their reason for oppressing you? Now let's think about that for a second. A lot of times bullies bully because they're scared. The Pharaoh was bullying the Israelites because he was afraid that they would become so numerous that they would decide to overrun him. He had no proof that they wanted to take over Egypt. He just recognized that they were a hardy people and that they were able to procreate pretty well, and he felt threatened by that. How do the people that are oppressing you see you as a threat? So let's think about it from a trauma-informed perspective, if you will. Getting curious about why are the people who are oppressing you, why are they doing this? In what way do they need to, or for what reason do they need to keep you down? In what way do you pose a threat to them? How can you help them feel safe and empowered? Likewise, how have they poisoned the environment for you and their supporters with tit for tat trying to prove their superiority? It really starts to create hostility and divisions and anger and even more of a sense of threat when you have this back and forth. I can one-up you, and oh, you think you're powerful, I'm more powerful. How have the Egyptians or the oppressors' own beliefs ended up backfiring on them, making them more uncomfortable or unsafe in their own world, and leaving them bewildered because things are not working out like they're supposed to? I think there's a lot of parallels that we can see between the Egyptians and the Israelites and life today.